has the growth of your career actually surprised you in a way? Have you impressed yourself? Think back 3 or 4 years ago, 17, 18-year-old Bwipo. Would you have ever imagined where you are now? Like the face of Fnatic, you've been to Worlds Finals, winning the split, things like this, the position you're in. Have you exceeded your own expectations, you think?
I did the first year, yeah, for sure. The first year it's hard to go be a rookie and play World Finals and then one up it, right? I mean, winning would have been it. Winning would have been it, but not quite. All things considered, I think it wasn't a year without problems. Like 2018 for me, it was, I had a pretty terrible performance at MSI. Summer playoffs weren't very good for me, but then I found my stride at Worlds. So, there's that. Credit to my girlfriend. Giving credit to where credit is due. I feel like it helped me situate myself emotionally, which is something that I feel like a lot of players don't have. Because I think that's where most of the growth came from, for me at least. Because playing the game, for me, it's always just been playing the game, right? And I think that's one of the reasons why I had a lot of success in my first year, because I didn't really find a way to play the game. I didn't have to gain experience too much, because I already went to some... I went to LCL, I went to TCL, I played in Russia and Turkey, and there I basically realized it's if I just win my lane and then play the game from there, it's usually easier. Competitive gameplay is not so much different from solo queue in that sense. It's just if you play a solid laning phase and find ways to cheese people and get advantages, that's good enough. You don't have to beat someone on raw merit alone. You can just be better, smarter. Don't have to be better, you can be smarter, or you can be better and be dumber. Either way works. All that matters is that you get ahead. That's kind of the story of League of Legends. And since I've become a pro player, basically that's been the idea, right? Season 8, Green Wards got removed,
and all of a sudden
it's all about getting ahead. It's all about getting ahead. And then for pretty much every single year since I've played, it's all been about early game aggression, getting ahead before 15 minutes, because after 15 minutes, it's hard to come back when you have to face check a team that's full of fed champions.
It's true.
Yeah, that is very true. Now, coming back to the present, we've talked about the past, now the present. What's your final goal? Is it winning Worlds? Do you reckon you can do it? Is this the team to do it?
Yeah, again, for me, the hardest part about being on a new team is always to figure out how people are going to behave in the roughest environments. Because the regular split is one thing, playoffs is another. International competition, though, those boot camps, they're rough. They basically just slap you across the face and tell you you're shit.
Yeah, jeez.
Everything you thought you were good at, you're not.
Yeah. I still bring it up anytime people talk about scrimming Eastern teams. I still bring up your stories about scrimming the Shy in 2018, because I'm like, people don't understand. People don't understand.
There's a lot of things going on. It goes both ways, right? Adaptation is key, right? So you go in, you suck for the first 2 weeks, but you've got 4 more weeks before World starts.
Sure.
Usually 6 weeks before World starts, 5 weeks before World starts is when you go there and you start practicing. And if you don't adapt, you're going to fall behind and you're probably going to flop, right? But you do have 6 weeks to do it. It's just the first 3 weeks, usually, at least in my experience, 2 to 3 weeks. Yeah, you're gonna see the defeat screen quite a few times in scrims. It's gonna pop up. You're gonna have to deal with a lot of losses that feel very frustrating, hard to deal with. You're not sure what to do. But as long as you get into the motion of problem solving, I think it always is going to work out. I think that's one of the main reasons why international success has not eluded me. At least I think top 8 Worlds is still success to me. It's not where I want to be. Winning Worlds is obviously the goal, but I'm proud to say that I've been top 8 at Worlds for the past 3 years. For me, that's something that it's still something.
Yeah,
it's not where I want to be, but I'm still satisfied with that.
For sure.
I think it's awesome because, frankly, for a long time that wasn't. Outside of the years where we were literally auto-qualified into top 8, for a long time that wasn't. There was a number of years where that was a bit tough to acquire. There was a number of difficult years for EU. So I'm happy with top 8. Obviously, we're all hungry for that finals and for that trophy. But I think, recognizing still that your accomplishments are still quite significant in the scheme of things is super cool. As a final question before we shift our attention to maybe some more meta discussion here, you talked about you and Hylissang kind of bringing culture to the team. That culture that you talked about of recognizing your own mistakes, being willing to improve. Do you think that's part of the culture that you guys carry on. And when you look at the identity,
the cats.
your cat is so funny. Don't worry about it. It's totally fine because this is the content gold that people want.
He's out there. He's enjoying himself.
When you look at the team culture and kind of how Fnatic functions now, I guess, would you look at you and Hylissang across the board entirely as kind of like the defining members? They're the members that define the culture of Fnatic.
I actually wouldn't say so. I mean, I think me and Hilly, we're kind of the same, so you can kind of count us as one.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we bring the same culture, kind of.
Yeah.
But I still think Selfmade brings his own flair to any team. Obviously, he's a very talented player, so with talented players, people tend to gravitate around those.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's natural. And myself as a player, I think I've always done best when I've accommodated for the needs of my teammates and at least put them in a better position. And I think that's where drawing the line for me can be difficult.
Yeah.
Because am I supposed to carry Fnatic? Am I supposed to make sure that the strong players on Fnatic can carry? I'm not sure. But what's worked for me is picking champions that enable my teammates more so than enabling myself. So I think with that in mind, I would say Selfmade plays as big a role in our culture as we do.
Yeah, that's super cool, and I love that insight because I think that Fnatic is in me as a team that's always felt like it's always had strong personalities in one form or another, for better or for worse, and it's always cool to see kind of how your team continues to grow and evolve. Because since this new iteration of G2, right, in 2019, it always feels like their team story has been kind of the same. And maybe it shifts a bit with Reckless, but they're happy, they're lucky, they're having fun, they're having a good time. But they're also winning everything, right? So that's a pretty easy environment to maintain. But I think you guys, as the other really big, consistent contenders, Rogue now rising up to maybe join you there, it's cool to see how your team is constantly evolving from a communication standpoint. And I think that I'm a little bit biased here in that, like, I respect G2. I do think they're the best team in our league, obviously. But I think from a storytelling standpoint, I'm a sucker for a good story, and it feels like Fnatic always has a good story. You know what I mean? Because it just feels like you guys are always addressing something new, always evolving. There's always new changes. There's always something new going on, and that's exciting to look at.